Hello, good afternoon everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I was asked to do a comparison of the A-Tactical or Wowtac Model A1S versus the Model A7. These are both coming in at the $30 price point. I have been using this Model A1S for quite some time, and it is an awesome flashlight. This A7 is the newest version, and it is also fabulous. People that have $30 in their pocket are kind of wanting to know which light they should go with. It's kind of hard to say pick one or the other because they both have some very solid things about them, and they both have some things that they could use some work on. So I'm just going to go down the list of modes that they operate on. The A1S does not have a Firefly mode. I always wished that it did, but it does not. The A7, on the other hand, does have a Firefly mode of 1/2 of a lumen, and they are getting 108 days of runtime out of that Firefly mode. And I'll tell you, for 1/2 of a lumen, they've got a really good beam. It's a lot of light for just being 1/2 of a lumen, so they did a fabulous job. So the A7 on Firefly is definitely my pick. Both lights have low. The A7 is 12 lumens for 108 hours. That's 4.5 days. Now if you look at the A1S, their low is 24 lumens, so twice as bright, and it lasts longer, 6 days of runtime. So definitely clear advantage goes to the A1S on low. Now if we look at medium, we're looking at 140 lumens for 18 hours on the A1S, and if we look at the A7, we're looking at 65 lumens for 20 hours. So in my opinion, I would go with the A1S personally because we get almost the same amount of runtime but significantly brighter. 140 lumens versus 65 lumens. I'll go with the 140 lumens for 18 hours and I'll lose 2 hours of runtime. Now let's talk about high. Now this is where I'm starting to notice a significant difference. On the A7, high was 296 lumens, and it would last for 4 hours. Now if we look at the A1S, we're a lot brighter. We're 460 lumens for an hour longer runtime, so we got 5 hours of runtime at a brighter setting. So definitely the advantage goes to the A1S as far as high is concerned. Now if you want to talk about turbo, they're both pretty close. The A1S is 1150 lumens for 3 hours of runtime, and the A7 is 1047 lumens for 2 minutes. Then it drops down to basically high, and it's a slow drop down to high, and it'll last another 4 hours once the step down happens. So you're dealing with a difference of approximately 100 lumens on turbo. Personally, I like the longer runtime and I like the slow step down, but some people like the 1150 because it doesn't have a step down, even though it does. They don't say about it, but it really does. It steps down. But my choice would be the A7 on turbo. I think it does a really good job. Now if we want to talk about strobe, both of the lights have strobe. Now on the A1S, we're talking about 1150 lumens, super bright strobe for 4 hours of runtime. And then if we look at the A7, we have a strobe that is only 296 lumens. So the strobe is not turbo, it's high, but the fact that they did that, you get 9 hours of runtime out of the strobe. So strobe to me is a setting that's designed to disorient maybe an attacker or something like that, and having an 1150 lumen strobe is very nice, but also having a 9-hour runtime on strobe is also very nice. So it's kind of Would you rather have a strobe that's very piercing or something that is going to run a long time? My personal opinion, I would choose the A1S in this department because I'm not going to need strobe for a long time. I'm not going to be disorienting someone for 9 hours. So 4 hours of runtime, that's fine for me. And the strobe being 1150 lumens, that's a lot more piercing of light. And that's what, in my opinion, strobe's designed to do. So I would choose the A1S on the strobe department. Now, if you want to talk about SOS, the A7 does not have an SOS. So by default, the A1S wins. You do have a SOS function. It operates at 1150 lumens. And I'm guessing that it'll last between 3 and 4 hours. They don't specify the runtime on SOS. Now, if we're going to talk about the throw, meaning the distance of how far the light will travel on these lights, it's pretty close. We're about 100 meters difference between the two. So on the A7, we're getting 268 meters of throw. And on the A1S, we're getting 277 meters of throw. So we're pretty close. My personal opinion, I like the little bit longer throw. You know, again, for a compact light here, they're doing a really, really good job. The candela rating on these lights, we're looking at 19,200 versus 18,000. So obviously the candela rating, the A1S is higher. So I would choose that. Now, impact resistance is identical on both of these lights. They're both impact resistant down to 1.5 meters. Now, if we want to talk about waterproofness, we're dealing with IPX7 down to 1 meter of waterproofness on the A1S, and they've improved that on the A7 because they've went down to IPX8, which is 2 meters of waterproofness. So now battery, this is where the significant change happens. And for the price point of being $30 on each flashlight, I really wish that Wowtac would have made the battery 3400 milliamp hour, but they did not. They include a 2600 milliamp hour battery with this light. On the A1S, on the other hand, they are including a 3400 milliamp hour battery, so definitely the battery is better on the A1S. Now, if you want to talk about weight of the flashlights, obviously the A7 is a lot smaller, it's a lot more compact, and it's 1.1 ounces lighter. So we're dealing with 3.7 ounces versus 4.6 ounces, and that weight does include the battery. Now, dimensions, we're looking at 137.5 millimeters by 25.4 millimeters, and this one's significantly smaller, 117 millimeters by 23.5 millimeters. So definitely the size advantage goes to the A7. Can they run on dual CR123s? Unfortunately, the answer on both of these is no. They do not run on dual CR123s, so that's a wash also. The LED that they're operating on the A1S is the Cree XP-L LED, and on this one it's also a Cree, it's an XPL HI LED, so that they're both fabulous LEDs. Now, current price point of the A7, even though they're both $30 price point, that's the retail. Currently the A7 being the newest one, it's on Amazon for $30, where the A1S on Amazon is actually $25.99, so $26, so $4 cheaper for a very good light. Now, there are some things that I want to talk about, and I want to get up close and personal here, and the first thing is the pocket clip orientation. They both come with a very solid pocket clip. I think it's the exact same pocket clip. Looks identical to me. And it's fabulous. But there's a big difference, and especially with the A7, the fact that this light is a lot smaller, and it would be nice if we could change the orientation of the pocket clip to make it hang down the other way, because that would be nice to attach it to a hard hat or the bill of your hat, and you could use this lighter light as a headlamp. Can't do that. On the A1S you could change the battery tube, because it was threaded the same on both ends, so you could unscrew the tail cap switch off of the battery tube and you could flip that around and change the orientation of the pocket clip. So the A1S won in that department. The A7, you couldn't do that. I was very frustrated about that. The threading looks the same and it will thread on, but the light won't power on. If they could either lathe a little part right here like this up here so that you could put the pocket clip up there, or make it where the battery tube has the same threads on both sides. That'd be really nice if they could do that. Tail cap switch on both lights is fabulous. I think it's a wash there. I think they're both good. I really like that switch. It's that loud kind of clicky switch. Both of these lights can tail stand very well. And I love the fact that the A1S has a metal button. The A7 has a rubber button. I don't like that. I like the metal button, so I would give the A1S the edge on the mode button here. I think that's awesome. Now the A7 does have an edge though, because when you turn the light on and it's on low, medium, high, or turbo, or strobe, or anything other than Firefly, you do get a battery level indicator. It'll be blue telling you your battery's good, and basically red when you need to charge your battery. Now if they could incorporate something like that into the A1S, that'd be great. When the battery gets low on the A1S, it'll flash like every 30 seconds or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it does, but the light will not just be constantly on. It'll do this flashing thing. It'll flash like twice. I like this indicator that tells you how long your battery lasts. Now if we look at the back of the thing, you can see that the A7 has this micro USB charging port. I'm not a big fan of the charging port on the back of the light. If I was gonna climb out of the boat and I got hung up on something, I could easily mess up that cover. And now I would lose my IPX8 waterproof rating. So the fact that that rubber comes away, I don't like the IPX8 rating being based on whether that cover is in place or not. On the A1S, there was no such a thing. You had to charge your battery by taking it out of the flashlight, and I like that better. I have a battery charger at home. You know, also the A1S, if you remove the battery and you look at the battery, they had a port on the side of the battery that was micro USB, so you could plug your charging cable in right there, and then it would illuminate red when it was charging and green when charging was complete. So I like that. I'm not saying that I need the charge port on the battery, but I like the ability to take the battery out of the light and charge it. Now some people didn't like that because they're afraid that this O-ring is going to get messed up from taking this tail cap switch off of the battery tube over and over to charge the battery. I'm okay with that because, to me, my opinion, it's not hard to go to my local hardware store and buy a couple of O-rings to replace that and keep that IPX7 waterproof rating up on this light. You can also wrap some Teflon tape around these threads and replace it with a fatter O-ring or whatever you got to do. It's very simple to keep this flashlight IPX7. If they could get rid of that, I think that'd be nice. This next part is pretty important. If you look at the head of the flashlight on the A7 right here, you can see that it's got a nice solid pin there, and if you look at the A1S head, you can see there's a spring here. Okay, that's a big difference in my opinion, and I'll tell you why I say that's a big difference. Because if we look at the tail cap switch on both of these lights, they're basically the same. They have a spring on the tail cap switch. So that's the A1S there, and here is the A7. So the tail cap switch, in fact, I like the A7 better on the tail cap switch design. It's a lot nicer. You got a good high quality spring there. So they've definitely made an improvement on the A7 on the tail cap switch. But coming back to the head of the flashlights, the A7 has this solid thing here where the A1S has a spring. Let me explain something. If you imagine your battery, right, sitting in your light here, okay, and you have a spring there, okay, so now that you know that that spring exists, and we tighten this baby up, and we tighten this baby up. So now you know that your spring on each end of your battery, there's a spring. There's a spring here, and there's a spring on the head. So if this flashlight falls and it hits with the tail cap, there's room inside, because that spring, for that impact to be absorbed by that spring on the tail cap side. If the flashlight falls head first, there's also a spring here, so you can absorb that impact in the spring. So the battery is protected in either direction. If you look at the A7, you have a beautiful spring on the tail cap side of things. So if it falls this way, and it can absorb the impact going this direction. But if you fall with the flashlight head first, there's nothing that's going to protect the battery inside from that impact, because it's a direct, solid connection to the head of the light. There's no spring there, so there's nothing. If we were to take a fall and impact going down this way, there's nothing going to protect that battery, because like I said, it's all connected. It's solid. It's a solid piece, and the result of that is you could actually damage your battery from taking a very, very high impact. So those are a few things that I would recommend. I really like the A7. I think it's fabulous. I loved the A1S. If they could take this A7 platform and put the battery tube where it's threaded the same on both sides, that'll give us the ability to change orientation of our pocket clip. If they could put a spring on the head of the flashlight like they used to here, that would be fabulous. If they could make this a metal button and get rid of that charge port, I think they'd really be close to having a perfect flashlight on their hands. I love that they have a Firefly mode. It's awesome. And bump up that battery to 3400 milliamp hour that you're going to release with this light, and keep it at the same price point. You know, we've gotten spoiled as people that have been buying Wowtacs, because we know that for the $30 we can get a 3400 milliamp hour battery and a solid flashlight. So the Wowtac A7 has a lot of potential. I mean, I like that it's small. If you put both of these lights on turbo, the A7, the head of the light up here, gets hot. But they've got some nice vents on the side that help dissipate that heat. The A1S gets a little bit warm, but not near what the A7 does. So I want to say thank you guys for joining me on this video comparing the A1S versus the A7. I couldn't really pick one over the other. I think they're both excellent. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got some good, useful information out of it. Again, please feel free to leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Like this video, share this video, and as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.